questions?
Now I just gotta turn this on. Well, some of you guys, I've seen some of you guys, I've been the opposition for some of you guys, so I'm not anymore. I'm not a coach anymore. I'm a coach of anybody who's in front of me. My objective now, or what I believe is my purpose, is to help athletes, and even beyond athletes, figure out what it is that they want. I mean, really figure out what it is that they want. I mean, getting real deep down, and then helping them make it happen. Or at least give them the best opportunity to make it happen. You know, I've been paying attention. I still follow scoreboards. I still kind of see what's going on in wrestling. It's hard not to. Doesn't really matter where you're at right now. Doesn't really matter where you're at right now. I'm going to tell you a story about it. In fact, I just thought about it. A guy named Gary McCall, he wrestled here. I mean, some of you guys might know his name, and you might even know him because he's around quite a bit. Gary McCall, his senior year, started out at 126, and I think he got up to being about 15-1. Beat Terry Grants at the Northern Open. He was ranked #1, and you know what? He might have been undefeated. But he cuts down. He cuts down. He's the #1 guy at 126, and he cuts down to 118, and he was a big 18-pounder. In fact, I remember his routine. He'd be 8 over, and that's when you could still use the saw and plastics and stuff, and he had his routine down where it was an hour. Where it was an hour in and out of the sauna and the bike, and then at that time, weigh-ins were 8 hours. 8-hour weigh-ins, if not the night before, which you guys don't have any of that anymore. But he's 15 or 16 and 1 or 0, #1 ranked guy in the country, goes down to make room for a guy named Dan Knight, cutting his ass off, and just hits the most incredible losing streak you can imagine. In fact, he was at 15 or 16 and 1 or 0, and it got to where it was 500. He was like 15 and 15. You know what? I think it was like 13 and 15 at one point. I mean, how can you get yourself to get back up when you lose that many matches in a row? I mean, there's just nothing but defeat. You go from this to this. And just loss after loss. How can you keep it together? Just ekes through. At that time, everybody went, you know, in the Big 8, just pretty much everybody went. That dude gets to the national tournament, and it's just an example that it doesn't really matter what's going on right now. You know, if you can turn the switch. You know, our thinking, it can't be stopped, it can just be changed. Obviously, he freaking changed his mind. Because he goes into the national tournament, and he is hot. When he gets into the semifinals of the NCAA tournament, I'm telling you, man, the guy was going to win it. He gets caught in a headlock by Jack Griffin from Northwestern, and gets pinned early. That's the only way he was going to lose. When he comes back and finishes third, with about a 500 record. But my point is, guys, is how many of us would be able to handle that? I mean, and come back and persevere and continue to put one foot in front of the other, and not allowing his preseason to bleed into the NCAA tournament. He was able to stop the bleeding. Okay, this is the way this happened. This is done. No control. The only thing I control is the next second, the next minute, the next period, the next match. And he did. And he finished up there in the NCAA tournament. Just a great story. And a cyclone, too. So, and there's a million stories like that. Millions of them. But there's one from, that should resonate because he's an alumni. He's around. And just another example, guys, just another example of doesn't matter from one match to the next if you can stop the bleeding. If you can stop the bleeding, it doesn't really matter. And that's one thing as an athlete and a competitor you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to stop the bleeding. One period's over, one match is over, it doesn't matter. It only matters if you're gonna lug it. You know what? If you want to load it up on your back and carry it into the next match and next period, go ahead. But I think we all know it's very difficult to be effective. I was going to do a PowerPoint, guys, but I'm like, I'm not going to do a PowerPoint for a bunch of wrestlers. I'm just going to talk about a few things that you guys can relate to as far as competing. And, maybe you don't want to hear it from me, but it really doesn't matter. Because I'm going to tell you some things that you need to hear. I'm going to tell you some things that work. And some of this stuff, guys, you're already going to know. But you know what? Knowing and doing are two different things. Knowing and doing are two different things. I mean, a single leg, right? But you continue to drill the single leg over and over and over again. Why? Because you got to be able to do it against everybody. You got to be able to do it when there's pressures on. You got to be able to do it against the #1 guy in the country. You got to be able to do it on the edge of the mat. You got to be able to do it when there's 5 seconds left on the clock. You got to be able to do it when you're dead ass tired. And that's why you continue to do it. I think one of the big things, guys, and I know everybody's different. I think one of the big things, man, is you really gotta, and I know what most guys are gonna say. You ask them what their goal is. Pretty much everybody says, I want to be a national champion. I mean, everybody says that. Whether you believe it or not, my experience is most guys don't believe they can win. Most guys don't believe they can win at that level. Now, when it really comes down to it, they say they do, but when they go out there and compete, they don't compete like they believe it. So my question is, what is it that you really want out of this season? I mean, what do you really want out of this next month, out of this next freaking year? Everybody in here is in different phases of their career, but I mean crystal clear, what is it that you want? I mean, really, really, really deep down, what the hell do you want? What do you really believe you're capable of? And then once you figure that out, guys, one of the most powerful tools in the human personality that a lot of us miss this is making up our mind, is making a decision. Guys, that is one of the fucking most powerful tools in the human personality, when you make up your mind. And I don't mean like, yeah, okay, yep, I'm talking about going down deep and really making that agreement with yourself where you burn the bridges. I'm talking about making up your mind and making a decision where you burn the bridges. I mean, you are that convinced, you are that deep into it, that you are going to commit to this. You have made up your mind that, you know what? I've made up my mind. I'm going to wrestle to be a national champion this year. I've made up my mind. I've burnt the bridges behind me. Now it's crystal clear. I don't have to waste any energy anymore about what I'm going to do because I know what I'm going to do. Now I got a clear path. Decision. The original meaning of decision is to cut off. That means you might have 8 possibilities in decision. You cut all those off except the one that you commit to. Just the one. And maybe it's the national championship that you commit to, but you don't deviate. Maybe it's All-American you commit to, but you don't freaking deviate. You've made up your mind. You've taken the pressure off yourself now. You know what you need to do every day when you train. You know how you have to think. You know how you have to compete because you've made up your mind. You've made a decision that I'm all in. You don't have to make up a decision. It's It's yes or it's no. And I think sometimes as athletes, we got to ask ourselves that and stop fucking around, pilling around on the fence. Yes or no? What's it going to be? Yes or no? And bring it down to that simple. Bring it down to where it's just simply yes or no. It's yes or no. That's it. And then once you make that decision what it is, now it's real clear about what needs to happen. It's real clear, guys. Freaking most powerful tool in the human personality, man. Confidence. Confidence ebbs and flows. I've been around wrestlers my whole life, guys. I know the whole routine. You know, been walking around and, you know, getting hammered and bumping people in bars and doing all kinds of shit, talking tough. You know, we've all done that. You know, some of you guys even been arrested for it. So have I. Long time ago. Guys, I'm talking about real confidence, though. I mean, really, 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 where you actually truly believe in yourself and your abilities. Confidence is not the absence of negative thoughts and feelings. Confidence is about you going out there and competing in spite of it. It's about you competing in spite of how you're feeling. You know, get your arms around this, guys. I wish I would have known this when I was still competing. I didn't compete very late in a career at all. I wish I would have known this, though, that you can have doubts and still prevail. I thought you had to think perfect. I thought you had to feel confident. I didn't think, I can't win unless I'm feeling just right. But you can have doubts and still prevail. You can have doubts. Now think if you can just learn to balance. Now think if you can just learn to balance your feelings, what you're able to do. Because if you can have doubts and succeed, what can you do if you learn to balance your thoughts? Now what the hell are you going to be capable of if you learn to grow some confidence? Just a little bit of confidence. With some of you guys in here, some of the abilities that some of you guys have, if you get just a little confidence up and running underneath you, you can get the job done. You don't even have to be the better wrestler. You don't have to be the better wrestler. You don't have to be. All you have to do is carve out 7 minutes. Carve out 7 minutes of the day where you're crystal clear focused and you're just plain better than that guy for that 7 minutes. And when you put it like that, anybody is capable of doing that. I don't care what your record and all those things are. I tell you what, Mark Branch, the guy who coaches at Wyoming, I don't really care for the guy, but he won the national tournament as a freshman with a losing record, guys. He came into the NCAA tournament with a losing record, and he won. He was 12 and 14 or 12 and 15 coming in. It was in Iowa City in 1994. Guy wins the national tournament with a losing record. Think about what some of you guys can do with 20 wins or even more so. You know what? Before I'd be doing you injustice if I didn't at least say this while I'm here. Because this is missed big time. This is missed big time. You know, all of us do a lot of the same things when we're training. We lift, we drill, we try to do all these things, work harder. And almost everything we do is out here. It's all about physical stuff out here that we do. But let me ask you, when you ask people how much wrestling, you know, people go, well, how much of wrestling's mental? And you'll hear people just throw out 70, 80, 90% mental. I don't know how much mental it is. I know it's a big piece of the pie. I know that just physical abilities alone and the physicalness and everything out here won't be enough. It won't be enough. You have to have some of your given tools intact. The first of our given tools that we miss bigger than life is just our freaking thinking, our self-talk. It can't be stopped, it can be changed. This thing right here, everything has to run through this. Everything. It's not out here, it's not in the book, it's not in the next Super Shake, it's not in the next freaking iPhone, it's not in the next anything. It's in the same place it always was, and in the same place it'll always be. It's right here. Guys, we spend too much time looking out there. And you know what? And out there's part of it, the training part of it. But you know what? This is a sport that we have to have our mind and body in tune. And you know what? Responsibility is a huge part of wrestling, man. It's a huge part of wrestling. There's a great saying. Winning is enjoyable, but it requires responsibility. And if you fail that responsibility, the penalty is failure to advance. So guys, if you're out here and you're cutting corners and you're failing your responsibilities, the penalty is failure to advance. This is a sport, guys. It's on you. And that's one of the things that a lot of wrestlers like, that is on them. They don't want it on anybody else. They don't trust anybody else to do for them what they know only they can do for themselves. I mean, that's what competitors want. I've yet to meet a wrestler that didn't believe that he was a badass competitor. And with that comes responsibility. And with that is, they are not going to leave it in anybody else's hands. Because they don't trust anybody enough to do for them what only they can do for themselves. It's on you. You're the guy that wrestles the match. Nobody else has anybody wrestling for them either. It's you against another individual. The weight's just the same. The same rules. The same everything. But let's face it, a lot of the way that we compete is going to be based on this. Awareness. Guys, you don't have to be thinking perfect. Our thinking, we can't stop it, but we can change it, man. We can change it. We can balance it. The second of our given tools is our breathing. Guys, there's two things we're doing all the time. We're always thinking, we're always breathing. Both of those things are happening all the time. Think about which one of those do you have more control over. Put it this way, guys. If you can slow your breathing down, you can slow your thinking down. If you can slow your thinking down, you're going to conserve energy. You're going to be able to recover. You're going to be more in control of your movements. Your intelligence and awareness is going to increase. All these things just by your breathing, learning how to relax. Because you know great wrestlers, when they're out there, they're not tight. They're loose. They're focused. You know, they can react just like that. But man, they're flowing. You know, you guys watch UFC. One thing you can always hear from the corner when a guy's on their back, the coach is always telling them, breathe, breathe, make sure to breathe. Why? Because if they relax, they're not going to burn out all their energy, and two, they're not going to make a mistake. You think about how many opportunities there are in a match, how many breaks there are in a match, where you go off the mat into the period, stalemate, where you got little opportunities to recover. It's a huge deal. Given tools, number 2. Given tools, number 3, right here. We think in pictures, the mind's eye. Every guy out here, and I don't know everybody's accomplishments here, but I know some of you guys have a lot of them. I'll guarantee you saw it here before it ever happened out here. You know, and that's the beauty, the ability that we can rehearse victory, that we can go anywhere we want right out here, and what we tend to focus on is the direction that we move in. We're the ones that are in control. Stop. If you're putting it on somebody else, fucking knock it off. This is on you. This is your weight class. This is your spot. This is your name, your social security number. It's you who is walking out there and representing yourself. And I tell you what, I think competitors love that. Don't you love that it's on you? Do you want it in anybody else's hands? Guys, it really truly comes down to just making up your mind. You know what? Enough. Enough of the pebbles, enough of the bullshit. I'm just going to go out and freaking compete. I'm going to compete. I'm not going to think about winning and losing. Nothing does more harm to an athlete than when they focus on winning and losing. I've seen it happen too many times. My focus is on behaviors. What do I have to do to give me the best opportunity? That's what my focus is on. It's not on winning and losing. Winning and losing takes it out of you. Guys start competing different. Attitude. You know, it's interesting because I know team dynamics are so different wherever you go. Some teams are real close, some teams aren't. I have no idea where you guys are at. But they say a team is like everybody is on the trampoline and the movement by one is felt by all. The movement by one is felt by all. I coached in Minnesota for 10 years, guys, and we put together a really good run. One of our runs was third, second, second, third, first, first, second. Great run, 7-year run. And people, you know, a lot of people were like, what was going on up there? What were you guys doing? And I'll be honest, Minnesota had a benefit being the only Division I program in the state. We had the right people together at the right time, great athletes. But more than that, guys, and I've said this over and over again, the biggest thing that made the difference in our program is we had guys on our team who were fucking leaders. They chose wanting to be great and get the most out of their experience over being liked. And that's a tough thing to do, because everybody wants to be liked. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? But guys, you better realize you got a short period of time. This career goes by faster and faster and faster. And I'll bet you some of you guys who were seniors remember when you just walked in, and it's almost hard to believe where you're at right now. Where you guys that are freshmen right now, you better grasp. You better plan on winning now and not wait till later. You better plan on winning right now. But the biggest thing, guys, is we had guys on our team that would call other guys out and hold them responsible. There were a lot of things, guys, that never even got to the coaches because the guys on the team took care of it. And I tell you what was the benefit of that? Well, the benefit of that was 7 really damn good years for a whole lot of people. And I know it's a tough thing, man. It's a tough thing to do because everybody wants to be liked, but you know what? There's 7 billion people in the world. If a couple of people don't like you, it ain't that big a deal. Not when your dreams and your goals are at stake and something that you only have a minimal amount of time to accomplish, and then it's gone. It goes away. You don't get a second chance at college. Once it's done and your eligibility is done, you're done. And you don't know if you're going to be injured. You don't know. You know, guys come in as freshmen and they think, well, I'm only a freshman. And then the next year they get an injury and they're done. I mean, you don't know. You don't know. You don't have to wait to win. That's one thing the guys got to understand. You do not have to wait to win. You better win right now. You know what? A lot about competing is about the now. It's right now. It's not later. It's not tomorrow. It's fucking right now. You know, I think about this too, guys. I mean, really, as student athletes, what else do you guys have to do but get better as athletes or students? I mean, that's all you have to do. You're only here for that. I mean, you think about how much time you have. As a student athlete, guys, I know how it is, but let's face it, man, there's lots of time. We got lots of time to get things done. And my question is this, guys, and ask yourself this. You know what, if I'm going to be here anyway, if I'm want to be coming to practice anyway every day and going through this, I might as well find out what I'm capable of. I mean, if I'm going to be here anyway, time goes a lot faster when you invest. When you're straddling the fence, the seconds are minutes and the minutes are hours. You know, December, January, February, March, they are going to pass no matter what you do. No matter what any of you guys do, those months are going to pass. Those days are going to come. That national tournament's going to come. No matter what you do, but based on what you do is going to be what your place in this is going to be. Because it's coming. You know it's coming. It's going to be here. But based on what you're doing right now is going to affect when that gets here. Every day affects it. It is the little things. I want to read this to you real quick. Just about, let me have my glasses on, but listen to this. We simply drift one day to the next, repeating errors. Thinking the wrong things, listening to the wrong voices, making the wrong choices, and on it goes. Why? Because it doesn't seem to matter. And in there lies the tricky danger. Far more damaging than repeating errors, thinking the wrong thoughts, listening to the wrong voices, and making the wrong choices is not to realize that it matters. But the pain and regret of these errors and judgment have only been delayed for a future time. Consequences are rarely instant. Instead, they accumulate until the inevitable day of reckoning arises, and the price must be paid for poor choices that didn't seem to matter. The athlete who deals with the pressure will triumph. It's natural to be nervous. You can perform and prevail with nerves and uncertainties. I mean, guys, errors that didn't seem to matter. I'm going to tell you what, in my experience of 23 years of coaching, guys, it is the little things that make the biggest difference. Everybody's training. Everybody trains at 3 o'clock. Everybody gets up and runs in the morning and lifts. Everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that. Now you're just even. So what are you going to do to tilt the scale in your favor? Where are you going to get the edge? Well, you got to do things a little bit better. Maybe a little bit longer. I'm not always a proponent of more work, more work, more work. That's not always the answer. Sometimes it is, a lot of times it isn't. But I'll tell you what, guys, in the final analysis, after all this physical stuff is done, I've got to make that agreement with myself. I got to make that agreement with myself and realize that I've already covered this. I've already made up my mind and made the decision what I'm about. I don't need to spend any other time thinking about what's next. I've already made up my mind. And if you can get that deep within yourself, where you really make up your mind, that you make up your mind, I've made it up. I tell you what, it'll simplify the rest of your season, guys, by just making a freaking decision. Just making a decision that I am in. I'm making a straight line, man. I'm making a straight line for where I'm going. There's only a couple other things I want to bring up, guys. Just a couple more things here. You know, Have you guys ever seen the statue of David? Or at least you've heard of it. If you don't know, you've heard of it. It's a statue by Michelangelo. Actually, it's a boxed piece of marble. It's a mammoth-sized, gigantic, boxed piece of marble. About 17 feet tall, 6 tons. Took Michelangelo over 4 years to chip away at it. And when they asked him, how did you get David out of a boxed piece of marble? He said, David was already in the marble. All I had to do was chip away the excess. And how does that relate to you? Well, I'll tell you how it relates to you. Because the freaking competitor or the warrior or whatever it is you want to be, it's already in you. It's already here somewhere. All you got to do is chip away the excess. What's the excess? All these fucking things we're talking about here. The excess and the chipping away happens a little bit at a time. It happens a lot of times when nobody's around, where it's lonely, where it's tired, where it'd be easy to do other things, but yet you are chipping away the excess so you can get down to that David, to that warrior, to that competitor that is in here somewhere. Chipping away the excess. Guys, you get there a little bit at a time. Do not ever think that the little things don't matter. They are all that matters. How many matches have you seen in your life that were decided at the very end of the match? At the very edge of the match. Did you watch Logan Stever's match in the World Championships? It couldn't have been any closer. He stayed with this guy. I mean, most of the times that match would have been over with, I'm going to say, 90% of the people that match would have been over with. He stayed on that guy and scored right on the buzzer to win a world championship. So don't ever think, guys, that the seconds and the inches and the ounces don't make a difference. They're the only things that make the difference. Two more things, guys. I just want to talk a little bit about competition mind. And what I believe, is some solid things to look for when you're, actually getting ready to compete. But I want to talk about this first. There's an expression. Well, put it this way. Freaking anthropologists, all these people, they're out messing with rocks and digging shit up, and they're out there alive and well. They're studying tribes, they're studying people, and still today, there's still many tribes that still do rain dances. I mean, it's alive and well. It's not here in the United States, but it's alive and well, and these anthropologists study them. And they studied all these rain tribes. And there was one tribe, only one out of all of them, that had a 100% success rate with their rain dance. And the only thing that they found this tribe doing different with their rain dance is, you guessed it, they freaking danced until it rained. They stayed with it until they got there. Whether it was a week, whether it was a month, they danced until it rained. They stayed with it until they got where they were going. Perfect example of making up your mind and making a decision. Wrestlers, they want to be warriors. I know we do. We all want to be warriors. We want people to look at us like we're warriors. But we have to bleed like a warrior too. If you want to be a warrior, you want to be a competitor, you want people to respect you, then you got to bleed like one too. And bleeding like one means you go out there and you compete your ass off. And you go out there and you put in the time and the efforts and what it takes to give yourself the best opportunity. You got to bleed like a warrior. And everybody wants to be the warrior, they just don't want to bleed like one. And you got to ask yourself that question. You got to ask yourself that question at the end of the day, man. Am I sneaking around? Am I cutting corners here and there? You know, you can fool a lot of people, but you never really fool yourself, because you know what? You know inside. You know inside. You know. Even though everybody else doesn't know, you know, and that's enough to derail you. Because that chips away at your confidence in the final analysis. Yeah, you got away with it that day, but now you're paying the price when it matters most. Paulson, do you have anything? Do you have anything more you want me to hit on, or any questions or anything?
I think you're nailing it. I think maybe open the floor for any mental struggles you guys possibly have, or you've been dealing with throughout the season, or anything you want to try to get from Mark.
I tell you this, if you're not comfortable with asking, if anybody emails me, I'll answer them back. If you want to do it like that. I mean, I'm not coaching anywhere, guys. I'm not a coach at UNI. I'm not a coach anywhere. I mean, my thing is, if somebody's going to ask me for help and I can help them, I'm going to do it. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I know this is a tough area for that, but somebody got to have something. Just something. Just anything. Yeah.
When you're talking about we do all this stuff that's outside of us, like we're training, we're doing everything, we're doing that, what are the mental things that you said that's like deep down inside of us, but how, like, where's that at? Like, obviously you might not know, or it's different for everybody, but
right.
What's your...
Well, like the inside stuff, you mean?
Like how do you find out what your inside stuff is?
That's a great question. Well, I think you got to, you know, really, guys, if you're going to be confident, a confident individual, you got to have awareness. I mean, you have to be aware of how you're feeling, how you have to be aware of your thoughts. You have to be aware. That's the bottom line. Unless you're just so naive, which, you know what? Sometimes it pays to be naive, but only to the point where people don't take advantage of you. You know, but sometimes it pays to be a little bit naive if you can get your arms around that. But the mental stuff is paying attention. It's paying attention. Because nobody else is responsible for my thoughts. You know what? I'm responsible for my thoughts. I may not be responsible for what shows up here, but I'm certainly responsible for how long I hold on to whatever shows up here. I know how to change my mind. I can change my mind anytime I want. But is it just a one-time thing and then I feel great? No, I got to work at it like anything else. But you got 24/7 access. And something this powerful and with this much potential, you are going to have to work at it. You are going to have to spend some time to be able to get that body and mind in the right place. But remember, you can freaking have doubts and still prevail. Yeah, you got to go out there and pull the trigger, but you don't have to feel perfect to have success. That's what you strive for. But by God, you can get the job done regardless. I think it's about simple. I think it's keeping freaking things simple. You know, I got to keep things simple, and especially when it comes to competition, I got to be as present as I can. What's more present than the next breath? You know, too many guys get to competition and they start thinking about winning and losing. Again, they lose track that, hey, I need to focus on what I can control. What can I control? Very little. I can control my thinking. I can control my breathing. I can control whether I'm going to go out there and pull the trigger or not, but nothing else. I can't control anything else out here. Okay, it doesn't matter that I wrestled this guy 10 days ago and he beat me 14-10. It doesn't matter who I might have second round. I'm not even going to worry about what this guy might do. I'm going to stay as present as possible, and I'm going to freaking let it go. I'm going to go out there and freaking let it go. You know, confidence isn't the absence of these thoughts and feelings. It's about you pulling the trigger in spite. You know, too many guys think they have to feel perfect to have success. You know, and you don't. You can feel like shit. Yeah, it makes it harder. But too many guys wait to feel perfect, or they think because they don't feel perfect, they already start sabotaging themselves. Again, awareness. I'm just telling you right now, as a coach and an athlete, awareness is a huge part. Awareness is a huge part. You know, wrestlers know their bodies big time. I mean, you know how much, you can do a workout, you can probably pretty much gauge how much you'll lose in a certain period of time. We know our bodies pretty well, but we don't even know our mind. We master video games, we master freaking Facebook and all that other shit out there, but we don't even manage our own mind that we have 24/7 access to. It's a complicated question. And let's face it, man, some guys are just plain set up better than other guys are. They just are. They just are. They wake up in their lives and they're just plain got a 20-yard start. But I'll tell you what, that turtle can catch the rabbit, and it often does in life. The turtle often catches the rabbit, because that turtle who's made up their mind and is diligent and consistent and knows where it's going, it catches that rabbit a lot of times in life, and certainly it happens in wrestling matches all the time. Guys worry too much about what other people are going to think. They worry too much about how they might look out there. There's 7 billion people in the world, guys. 7 billion people. It ain't that big a deal. And really, I tell you what, a lot of wrestlers almost have to get to the point where they're able to say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to compete. I'm just going to compete. Enough of this mental gymnastics, enough of carrying around this big backpack and what if this and what if that and all these little things. I'm cutting all this shit off and I'm swinging for the fence. I'm going to freaking step inside that phone booth and I'm going to put on my Superman suit and freaking be Superman for 7 minutes. Then I'll go back in that booth and take it off and come back and be Earl Hall again. Or whoever it is. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but I tell you what, sometimes it just comes to that. You know what I mean? Where you got to just abandon everything and just compete. Yep.
How do you overcome your doubts? You said everybody has them. We're all human. Yeah, I'm not really in wrestling and just in life. How do you stop yourself from overthinking?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. Preparation has a lot to do. Obviously, paying attention to our thoughts. The easiest are let's go about it the other way. Really, if I want to learn how to grow my confidence, I have to learn to challenge myself. I have to allow myself to be uncomfortable sometimes. I have to welcome challenges. I have to be bold. Sometimes I got to bite off more than I'm sure I can chew. I got to continue to learn. I got to continue to ask questions. I have to be responsible. I mean, all these things, if you want to grow your confidence, it's going to be about you taking action. And a lot of guys, it's just not satisfactory for them enough. It's just like, well, it's just not a good enough answer. I'm just going to dismiss that. It's about taking action. It's about, okay, hesitating, but you do it anyway. You got to learn how to welcome challenges. The biggest things, I think, you got to learn how to welcome challenges. You got to step up, sometimes when you're uncertain. You got to allow yourself to be uncomfortable. And that's a lot of guys, a lot of athletes, they will not allow themselves to be uncomfortable in their training or anywhere else. And until you learn how to be uncomfortable and manage it, guys, it will be tough to win at this level. I mean, you have to learn how to be uncomfortable. So if you're staying in your comfort zone all the time, guys, it is going to be very tough to grow. You can be a student in pursuit of excellence. That means I got my ears open, I listen, I'm not a know-it-all. I make up my mind. I don't know if I can give you anything more than about some of this stuff that you just make up your mind. One of the best attitude advice I ever heard, one of the best answers for anything that comes up in life that I've ever heard was, no matter what comes up, no matter what it is, my answer for it is, I'll adjust, or I'll find a way. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to turn away from it. I'm never am at a place where there's a wall and I can't go any further. My answer for everything is I will adjust, or I'll find a way. I'll do it. And people have been doing it for millions of years. Everybody's capable. There's that David inside everybody, man. If you chip away that excess, it's there. And I guess if I be brutally honest, I just be brutally honest because it's the truth. Everybody's not going to win a national championship. Everybody is not going to. It's not going to happen. But I tell you what, there's a lot of guys who maybe didn't believe they could be an All-American that sure can be an All-American. And I tell you what, you guys know what a tournament that thing is, man. That thing's a beast. That thing's tough. But even if you can't be a national champion, what are you capable of? And they say, you know, how deep does the well go? How much rope can be lowered? How deep does it go inside of you? And that's what you got to ask yourself, really. Because you learn a lot about somebody when they're put on the spot. You don't learn about somebody when things are going well. You learn about people when there's pressure, when they're at the disadvantage, when they are dead ass tired, when they have everything seemingly they're on their own. You learn a lot about people when there's pressure, or when there's some adversity. Everybody wants to be a warrior, but everybody doesn't want to believe like one. You got to believe like one, guys. You got to make up your mind, and you got to understand that for 7 minutes out of the day, for just 7 minutes, absolutely anyone is capable of winning a wrestling match. You know, there's 144 10-minute segments every day. 10-minute happens 144 times. I'm not sure how many times 7-minute happens, but more than 144 times. Just think about that, guys. All you got to do is be better just 1 out of 150 times during the day. Just 1 out of 150 time slots do you have to be the better guy. Just 1. When you put it like that, absolutely anybody is capable of getting the job done. And I know it's getting redundant now, guys, but you know what? Part of sometimes getting better and turning corners is having to listen. It's a hard thing to listen. It's a hard thing to listen because I know a lot of guys think, fuck, I already heard this, I already know this. Well, do ya? You've already heard it and you already know it? Well, are you doing it? How's the career going so far? Or are you where you want to be? You know? And usually that can put all of us back right in our place again. Because we're all learning, we're all growing, we're all striving for the same thing, man. We all have the same challenges. It's a lot of stuff to swallow, guys.
You mentioned earlier one of the characteristics of being a leader is calling people out and holding others accountable. What other characteristics do you recommend that a leader should have?
Well, I don't think we're reinventing the wheel here. I think the biggest thing in a leader is what they do. You know what I mean? Words are pretty hollow, don't you believe? I mean, what do you believe? What people say or what they do? I mean, I think that the best leader in the world is somebody who's doing the right things. I mean, that's what speaks louder than anything. You know, there's probably some guys here, if they got up in front of you guys, it'd be hard to take them serious. You know, maybe based on what they have or haven't done. But then there's some other guys in here that could get up here and you take them real serious based on what they've done. It's about behavior, man. It really is. You guys know that. It's just doing it. It's just doing it. It's easier to sit in a little group and bitch and complain and make excuses than it is to just freaking take the dirt road, you know? Sometimes you got to take the dirt road by yourself.
When you're taking that road by yourself and you call someone out, but then they don't listen, I mean, like, then what?
What can you do about that?
You just,
What can you do? I mean, think about it, man. We have a hard enough time us doing the right things that we know are right. You know what I mean? We have a hard enough time with that ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We all do. The fuck am I going to worry about somebody else? If they're not coming along, they're not coming along. I mean, you got enough stuff on your plate, don't you? I mean, you're a student, you're an athlete, you're all that stuff. Do you really have time to worry about what the next guy's going to do? That doesn't mean you can't encourage them or anything. But I tell you where, if they're sucking away your energy, get away from them. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted by what other people do. You know? You got a lot of different people here. They may not all think the same way that you do. But you are squandering your energy if it's sucking energy out of you because they're not doing things that you think they should be doing. I mean, at one point, all you can do is say something. You don't have control over anybody else. You know, we got to learn how to manage control over ourselves in all those areas and take care of ourselves. And if we do that, that's a full-time job. I'm not saying it doesn't bother you and things like that, but what can you do? You can worry and stew about it all day long, but is anything going to change? Not going to change that person. You know, it's tough. And that's just based on my experience. I don't know what's, you know, the culture here. I don't know what's going on here. You guys know better than I do. I don't know who's the leader in here. Who's somebody who's the leader in here? Who is, Paulson?
I don't think our team really has a true leader right now.
Really? Does anybody want to volunteer for the job?
I'd say the first person that comes to mind is probably Cannon Store, Ian Parker.
Based on things that they say or things that they're doing?
Both.
Who are those guys? Yeah. I think if guys are doing what they're supposed to do, and they have their own dreams and their own goals and their things set and they're committed to that, I think that'll speak pretty loud. Not everybody's going to be a verbal guy. Not everybody's going to be a guy like Tim Hartung who's going to freaking call people out. This guy didn't care. Tim Hartung, one-time state champion from Wisconsin. One-time state champion. He goes to school, works his ass off. He's a good athlete. Qualifies for the NCAAs, wins a match as a freshman, maybe 2 matches. Gets third, national champion, national champion. One-time state champion. Hardest working big man I've ever been around. And this guy did not hold back at all. And then there were some younger guys that liked what he was doing, and he handed off the baton to those guys. And for about 8 or 9, 10 years, there was just incredible leadership at the University of Minnesota. And I tell you what, it showed in their results. So if you guys want to be on a championship teams, I mean, if you want people winning with you, you want to bring people along, then sometimes you gotta do something harsh. You gotta do something hard. Or you can just let it go on. It's up to you guys. What kind of environment do you want? I mean, this is something this is a head coach's job right here. But I mean, you're asking me the question. I'm just telling you, leadership is fucking huge. It's huge. Having guys that lead on and off the mat is a huge deal. And it's got to be behavior, because guys will not buy words. You know, you can get a big guy who's a bully and everything, but that ain't going to work. Guys they're not going to run hard for him. They're not going to go through the wall for him. They're going to freaking giggle when he turns his back. I think one thing wrestlers recognize is when somebody's paying the price and committed. I think wrestlers respect that. I think across the board, we all respect that when we see it in other people. And those are usually the guys who are pretty good leaders. And then once in a while, you'll get a gutsy guy who he'll say what's on his mind. All I know is this, guys, is you get 4 to 5 years to get done what you want to get done, and then it's done and it's over. And there's no going back and there's no rewinds. There's no do-overs. So you better try to do it as right as you can the first time. Because no matter how hard you try when it's done, you cannot go back. You don't get any more chances. You better do it as well as you can the first time. And don't rely so much on your own, guys. Freaking talk to the people who have gone before you. A lot of times, guys, you got to dismiss and not trust yourself in some of these areas. Some of these things, you need to just do what's being told, whether you agree with it or not. Because you guys and I both know this, man, is there's nothing like being in the trench. And until you're actually in the trench, just nobody would be able to relate unless you're a person who's actually been there. Awesome. Anything else, anybody? I know it went on a little long. I mean, I know you guys are probably, who the fuck's this guy coming here saying that? But the truth of the matter is it's true. The stuff I'm saying is true, and you know it is for the most part. I mean, it's hard to jive college athletes. They know when somebody's filling them full of shit or shooting them straight. And you know what? Maybe everything that was said you don't like. That's not even an issue whether you like it or not. But I guarantee there had to be something that was said here today or discussed that you can benefit from. And if nothing else, remember the Gary McCall story about it doesn't really matter how things have gone, guys. You know, if they're going great, great. But no matter how things are going, you can change it up. The world is full of people that can turn things around. The world is full of these guys that can turn things around. How would you deal with 13, 14 straight losses? That would be, I don't know, guys, that'd be tough. And then go to the national tournament and really freaking peak. That's enough. That's enough for me, unless anybody else has anything. Yeah.
So you're just talking about peaking. You have any tips on how to mentally physically peak?
How to
Or do
peak?
you believe in peaking?
I believe in being ready. You know? I believe in being ready. That's a big question. You know what I'm saying? Because so many things matter. You know, training matters. How long have you been training? You know, a lot of things like that. That's something I could send you instead of going through it here. But I could definitely send you some things about peaking. And I bet it's stuff you already know. A lot of it's stuff you already know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of times, freaking, we know enough. It's just a matter of doing it. So I know,
Schwab,
guys.
can you see your email so they can all put it in their phones?
We'll send it to them.
Oh, yeah, we'll send it out.
Yeah, it's Mark. It's all one word. Market opportunities to succeed. If you send me a message, I will send something back. Yeah, marketopportunitiestotsucceed.com. I will send you something if you message me.
Y'all free to go.
Pretty awkward.